Welcome to step 4 of the door scene, reshooting and assembling an edit. Students now understand how important it is to be clear with their vision, to plan exactly what they want to say and how to say it. In this segment, we'll illustrate how to use what your students have learned in the previous 3 steps to communicate their vision more effectively. This time around, students need to consider the feedback and changes that were discussed in class during the previous step. They should revise their original storyboards to reflect their plan for the scene. They're no longer required to assemble their films in camera as they go along. They'll be editing their final products on a computer. You'll see a big difference between the first door scene shoot and the final one. The students are more focused, they have a clear vision for their scene, and they're collaborating better, with each student assuming a definite role. And they understand how to use specific shots to craft a story. When they've called a wrap, it's time to assemble a rough edit.
Now in the editing step of the door scene, they can import their film into the computers and use the editing software. What they learn here is, first off, a new computer skill. It's different than anything they've done before. It's not a word processor, it's not a music program, but it has some similarities which they recognize right away. Copying and pasting. They start taking their scenes and cropping them, trimming them down, getting rid of extra sounds they didn't want there, putting them in the correct order. And the point of this is to introduce them to the editing software in a very simple, easy way so they can complete their goal, but at the same time learn how to use the software.
Because it makes no sense. He's like falling with the keys, and then the next scene, he's up and then goes down for the keys right there.
Okay.
During this part of the exercise, the students import their video footage into a computer equipped with desktop video editing software. They need to assemble a sequence of shots that reflects their storyboard sequence without using transitions, effects, music, or titles. We'll save the flashy stuff for later. At this point, they're simply putting together their rough cut. It's done this way because there are some key issues that students need to consider. Does the film communicate what they intended? Does it tell a clear story? What's unclear? Have they built the scene? That is there anticipation, tension, and conflict? What would they change and why?
And in the editing process, it was all 5 of us putting our input. We took turns editing, but everyone would be watching that one person edit. So if someone would see something like, oh, that's not cut right or something, we would tell the editor so they could go back and cut it so all the group's input went into it.
Once the teams have assembled their rough cut, they regroup as a class to exhibit their films and reflect on how to revise and improve them. The discussion should center on whether or not the story was clear and whether the audience felt what the filmmakers intended them to feel.
Annalise?
Because you knew right from the beginning that it was going to be a scary story, so you weren't kind of confused when he's just opening the door and then scared by the island monster or whatever. And so, and so you kind of knew what was going to happen. It was a little foreshadowing.
Okay, so it set the mood because we recognize that from up.
This peer-to-peer review enables students to see their work through the eyes of their classmates and develop ideas to improve their film. And improve their film is exactly what they do in step 5 of the door scene.